Why long-married women start feeling emotionally distant from their husbands. As we grow older, the dynamics of our relationships inevitably change. What once felt exciting, fresh, and full of passion can slowly shift into something more complex and sometimes even confusing. Many couples, especially wives, find themselves feeling distant from their partners after years, sometimes decades, of marriage. It's a reality that few talk about openly: how the spark can fade, how affection can quietly dwindle, and how emotional closeness can seem to slip away without a dramatic moment to mark its passing. This change is not usually because love has vanished overnight, or because one person has stopped caring. Rather, it often comes from a deeper realization of what love should feel like, and how unmet needs and unspoken emotions accumulate over time. Today, we'll explore why many women begin to feel differently about their husbands as they get older, uncovering the very practical reasons behind this shift. Whether you're a husband, a wife, or simply curious about what happens to love and marriage over the years, this insight might change the way you understand aging, relationships, and what it really takes to keep love alive. The burden of emotional labor becomes overwhelming. For years, many women quietly carry the invisible weight of emotional labor in their marriages. They are the planners, the organizers, the ones who remember birthdays, coordinate family gatherings, book doctor appointments, and keep the household running smoothly. This work rarely gets noticed or acknowledged because it happens behind the scenes, day after day. As time goes on, the exhaustion of carrying this unseen load begins to wear them down. It's not just physical tiredness, it's the emotional drain of feeling solely responsible for holding the family together. And yet, most husbands don't realize how heavy this burden is. To them, it may seem like things are simply being done. This imbalance creates a quiet frustration, a feeling that she is carrying the marriage on her back, while her husband simply exists within it. Over time, this invisible weight can suffocate affection, breeding resentment where love once blossomed. Lack of meaningful communication. In the early days of marriage, conversations are filled with curiosity and warmth. How was your day? What are you thinking about? Tell me your dreams. There's a genuine hunger to connect, to understand, to share. But as years pass, many husbands slowly retreat from these deep exchanges. Conversations become routine, predictable, or even worse, silent. The vibrant dialogue that once nurtured the relationship fades into small talk or disappears altogether. For a woman, this lack of meaningful communication is painful. She craves emotional intimacy just as much as companionship. When her words go unheard, when her feelings are unseen, she begins to feel invisible. It's not just loneliness, it's a slow erosion of the connection that once made her feel truly known and loved. Without that bridge of shared thoughts and emotions, the distance between husband and wife grows, quietly pulling them apart. The never-ending burden of housework. Even in today's world, where equality is often spoken about, the reality for many women is still the same. They carry the majority of the household chores. From scrubbing dishes to folding clothes, from cleaning floors to managing daily upkeep, the work never truly ends. Over the years, this constant, repetitive labor chips away at her spirit. What might have once seemed manageable slowly becomes a source of exhaustion and frustration. The dirty dishes left in the sink, the clothes not put away, the small messes pile up, not just physically, but emotionally too. What starts as minor irritations soon grow into deep resentment. She wonders, sometimes bitterly, why do I have to do it all? Why am I the one always responsible? This endless cycle can make her feel trapped in a role she never signed up for, draining joy from everyday life and widening the invisible gap between her and her husband. She grows and evolves, but he doesn't. As women age, many embark on journeys of personal growth. They seek new experiences, learn new things, travel, and broaden their horizons. This growth is a vital part of who they become, a way to reconnect with themselves and the world beyond their daily routines. But when their husbands resist change, refusing to evolve alongside them, it creates a painful disconnect. She feels like she is moving forward while he remains stuck in place, unwilling or unable to keep up. This stagnant dynamic leaves her feeling isolated, as if she's outgrowing not only the relationship, but the very person she once loved. The emotional distance grows wider, creating a gap filled with loneliness and unspoken frustration. When one partner evolves and the other stays the same, the shared path they once walked together begins to diverge, and the woman may find herself walking alone. Loss of physical and emotional intimacy. Intimacy is not just about touch, it's about feeling close, desired, seen. It's the tender glances across the room, the warm hand on the back, the quiet reassurance that you still matter. But for many women, this intimacy slowly fades as the years go by. Life's demands, stress, and routine often steal away the small gestures that once made her feel alive in her partner's eyes. What was once passion becomes silence. What was once emotional closeness becomes distance. And when a woman no longer feels desired, not just physically, but emotionally, she begins to question her worth in the relationship. She misses being looked at with admiration, being held with intention, being heard with love. This isn't about needing grand romance. It's about needing to feel chosen, again and again, even after decades. Without that, she starts to pull away. Not out of spite, but out of sadness. And once that emotional detachment begins, it's incredibly hard to reverse. Retirement changes everything, but not always for the better. Retirement is often painted as the golden era, a time to rest, to travel, to finally enjoy life together without the weight of work. But for many women, this dream quickly turns into something else entirely. Suddenly, their husbands are home all day, restless, uncertain, and often without purpose. And without meaning to, many men begin to rely on their wives for constant company, for entertainment, for direction. She becomes his schedule, his anchor, his distraction from the emptiness retirement brings. But for her, this new dynamic is suffocating. After a lifetime of caregiving, of sacrificing her own time and space, she hoped for freedom, a chance to rediscover herself. Instead, she finds herself once again responsible for someone else's emotional needs. With no separate hobbies, no personal time, and no room to breathe, the walls begin to close in. She doesn't say it out loud, but a quiet thought takes root in her heart. This is not the life I was waiting for. And with that thought, the love that once felt like a partnership begins to feel more like a prison. She no longer feels heard, seen, or appreciated. One of the deepest wounds in a long-term relationship isn't caused by loud arguments or dramatic betrayals. It's the quiet ache of feeling invisible. For years, she's been the emotional backbone of the family. She's shown up, she's supported, she's sacrificed. She's voiced her feelings, asked for what she needed, tried to connect. But over time, her words have started to fall into silence. Her husband listens, perhaps, but he doesn't truly hear. He responds, maybe, but without presence or care. And slowly, heartbreakingly, she starts to withdraw. She stops sharing her thoughts, stops bringing things up, stops expecting him to notice. Because hope that once burned bright has dimmed into resignation. She doesn't want grand gestures. She doesn't need flowers or fancy dinners. What she craves is something much simpler, but far more powerful. To feel like she still matters, that her emotions carry weight, that someone still sees the woman behind the role she's played for so long. When that no longer happens, when she feels ignored long enough, something in her quietly shuts down. And once that switch flips, it's incredibly hard to turn back on. She realizes life is short and she wants more. As the years pass, life begins to whisper truths we can't ignore. Friends grow ill, loved ones are lost. Time, once abundant, begins to feel precious and fragile. And in that quiet reckoning, many women begin to ask themselves the hardest questions of all. Am I truly happy? Do I feel loved? Is this the life I want to live for the rest of my days? These aren't angry questions. They're not driven by blame. They're born from reflection, from a heart that has carried too much for too long. And when the answers don't bring peace, she begins to shift. Not outwardly at first, but inwardly. She stops fighting, stops pleading, stops waiting for someone else to give her what she needs. Not because she doesn't care, but because she finally realizes she matters too. She begins to focus on her own well-being, her own joy. And if her husband doesn't meet her halfway, if he doesn't notice the silence she now embraces, she may continue down a path of emotional and even physical withdrawal. Love fades, not from age, but from neglect. Love doesn't vanish in one tragic moment. It fades slowly, silently, through the forgotten gestures, the unspoken words, the unmet needs. It disappears not with shouting matches, but in the long stretches of silence where one heart quietly aches and the other doesn't notice. Many women don't fall out of love because they're too old to love. They fall out of love because for too long, they haven't felt seen, valued, or cherished. The weight they carry becomes too much. The loneliness within the relationship becomes louder than the comfort of companionship. But it doesn't have to be this way. Love is not something we find once and keep forever without effort. It is a choice we make, again and again, even as the years change us, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. If you are a husband watching this, ask yourself, when was the last time I truly listened to her? Not just heard, but listened. When did I last show her that she still matters to me, not just as a wife, but as a woman, a person with dreams, emotions, and needs? And if you are a wife feeling distant, ask yourself, is there still room to rebuild? Is there still space for connection, if only we both try? Marriage isn't a destination, it's a daily decision, a quiet promise to keep choosing each other. Even when the spark dims, even when time wears down the edges of who we once were. So choose love, choose presence, choose one another, over and over again. Because in the end, it's not the years that take love away. It's the forgetting to nurture it that does.